Ladies and gentlemen, it's the CBSI Bolo Show! Now sit back and relax as Brian and Jack recap the first appearances, leader buzz, and hottest variants in comic books releasing each and every week. Coming to you from an unidentified command center, here's your host, Brian Wood!
What's going on, guys? This is Brian, Simpleman's Comics. It is 4th of July, Independence Day, the original Brexit, as we like to call it, or as I like to call it. But we couldn't miss a show, so we are here. We are live. The CBSI Bolo Show. Bunch of people are here with us in the chat already. Can't thank them enough. But I also have my co-host, Jack DeMeo, a.k.a. Mr. Bolo. What's going on, buddy?
I'm Brian. As he said, I am Jack DeMeo, aka Mr. Bolo, and I am excited to be here this week for another CBSI Bolo show live here on Thursday nights. I gotta say, before we get into everything, I really have to thank my Simpleman's Comics family this week. As many of you guys know from our tribute last week, I did lose my father this week, Tuesday night, and while it has been an extremely difficult time for my family, I gotta say, you guys have meant the world to me. Everybody who's reached out, all of the condolences and well wishes. Obviously, the next day, yesterday was my birthday, so it's been a very difficult time. But I got lots of birthday love, lots of condolences from the Simpleman's Comics family, and I just want to let you guys know, thank you so much for everything. You guys have meant the world to me, and it's exactly why we love providing this content for you guys, and just thank you.
Right, and real quick before I bring us both in, I want to show off my shirt that I always wear. My wife doesn't like when I wear it out in public, but we do have a Deadpool, a little bit about cancer there, because a lot of us have been affected, even myself, with someone that has suffered from cancer, so definitely shout out to that. And I can speak probably for everyone in Simpleman's Comics family, but hearts and prayers, everyone's there for you, Jack. And as you know, we've been talking through Hangouts, so bring us both in to get this show started tonight. As always, we do want to say, if you don't want to look at our faces or you just want to listen to on a commute, we do have an audio version of this, and it's the CBSI Comic Book Bolo podcast. But we've been putting not just the Bolo show up there, but the Indie Spotlight interviews we've been doing, the hot and cold list, all those have audio versions, and they're all up there on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And as we're getting into this and more people going in the chat, how are we sounding out there? How's the audio? How's the video? Because live is always funky, so if you guys getting some weird stuff out there, let us know. But definitely check out the audio version as well.
Little issue there myself, but seems to have worked itself out.
And as always, this show is sponsored by Nick Dworkman at slabbedheroes.com. So if you want modern, guaranteed 9/8 at a decent price and bulletproof shipping, make sure you check out Nick at slabbedheroes.com. I do want to reiterate that the books you order aren't already slabbed, so he's got to press them, send them out to get graded, and wait for them to come back to ship out to you. So a lot of people complain, hey, where's my order? Make sure you read the print. He has in there estimated delivery times. And as we all know, CGC can be finicky about turnover times. So just a little patience. If you reach out to him, he'll answer you, but just don't pester the crap out of him. Like, hey, where's my order? And then everyone, treat someone how you'd like to be treated is all I'll say. But with that being said, we also want to talk about the Bolo mystery box, right? Patreon.com/Simpleman's Comics. Support the channel, and you also get a Bolo mystery box. We have 2 tiers. We have a basic $20 tier, and we also have a premium tier. Both are great, but the premium is allocated to 10 spots. There's 2 available, and the regular, we have 6 spots available. So, huge thank you to Joe Seaborn for the super chat for Jack's dad there. I will make sure this money goes to Jack, but I'll be doing friends and family PayPal, so we don't have to do those GoFundMe fees. But
yeah.
Back to the Bolo box, right? we did have some people get their June Bolo boxes this week, and they even made some Instagram posts on them. We got Comic Man Andy, awesome contributor. I don't think he's in the chat today because, it's 4th of July, so a lot of people have family activities to do. But he posted on Instagram about his. We also have Joshua. I'm not going to say the rest of it because I'll crush it. But that's Sarah Hymo's fiance that's in the chat tonight. She got her mystery Bolo box as well. And then we also have Jason Schneider. He got part of his. I didn't put all his pictures in there, but he plugged it on Instagram as well. So I love that people are getting their Bolo boxes. What's even better is they're happy with what they're getting, because that's always the fear of sending stuff out and then them not finding value in the boxes that you create. So, and then of course we showed love back, hashtagging it on the Bolo box and Simpleman's Comics on my story, on Jack's story as well. So, Jack, what do you think about everyone showing their love on the Bolo box so far?
Oh man, what a pick me up that was yesterday, seeing that. It got me really excited to see that, because again, yes, it is a tool to bring in revenue for the channel, but at the same point, like, it is really important to us that you guys get something back that you enjoy, something that's unique. And I was excited to see the reactions of people. I love seeing, like, the first Draken in there, obviously something we've talked about at the channel. Power Rangers 40, something we've talked about at the channel. But, Buffy the Vampire Slayer 1 in 50 variants, something we talk about on the channel. So it's great to see that stuff getting in your guys' hands, and you guys getting excited about it. We hope it's just the beginning. So if you haven't signed up for the Bolo box, be sure to check out the Simpleman's Comics Patreon. We still have some available. We want to keep it small because we want to be able to provide that quality. But, the more people that sign up, the more that we get into this, the more that we can kind of expand that program. But for now, I'm just really stoked to see you guys getting those in and being excited. Thank you. And if you get a Bolo box in, make sure you guys share it on social media. We'll talk about it on the channel for sure.
Right. And I do want to say one of the ones from Jason Schneider. This was I always mix up the name. Leave on the light or leave the light on.
Yeah.
This is Bradley Golden's.
Golden.
He was selling these on Twitter, limited to 200 print run. So I bought 5 of them and was sending them out in Bolo boxes and to friends and stuff like that. So limited 200. It's similar to the Kickstarter cover that he had for it, but instead this is total black and white. But
there's a lot of buzz on that book.
Yeah, and glad he enjoyed it. But with that being said, before we get into a huge announcement, I also want to point out that I want to show some love. If you see the hat on, Forgotten 5 Comics, bunch of great guys, huge CBSI family members also. We got Scott Regan, we got Dino Pappas. Both of those are Tales from the Flipside crew on YouTube on Monday nights at 9:30. CBSI presents Tales from the Flipside podcast. Make sure you guys check them out. And of course, we got Big Sean Leggett, original OG CBSI, twin brother from a different mother, Jack and the Beanstalk, huge, but awesome guy. But definitely, if you're looking for comics, definitely check out forgotten5comics.com. Huge. I mean, they got stuff all over the place. They're not like a diamond distributor. They're just guys that buy comics and sell them as well, right, Jack?
Right. And matter of fact, be on the lookout on the channel. I have an interview coming with Dino from Forgotten 5 Comics, a little Forgotten 5 spotlight from Heroes Con. That should be hitting the channel pretty soon. So we're excited to do that. These guys are great guys. They're CBSI guys. The stuff that they carry is stuff that we talk about. It's stuff that you see. It's not that, they've got those Silver Age keys for sure. But these are also the guys where if you're looking for a rare variant, if you're looking for that hard to find incentive, that tough Betty and Veronica cover, these are going to be the guys that you're going to want to shop with. And they're guys that we're telling you, if we're coming in here plugging them, we're telling you they're reputable guys. They're guys that you want to deal with. And also want to say shout out to those guys. You mentioned Scott Regan. You've got that CBSI swag on as well. Be sure to hit cbsiswag.com. They're actually running a sale, I think 15% off for the 4th of July. So head to cbsiswag.com. They've got some new designs. These guys are killing it on these designs. The quality is outstanding. The shirt quality is tremendous. So be sure to do that. And then again, Brian mentioned Tales from the Flip Side. I want to take this opportunity to plug those guys. There's been a lot of talk in the community about what's an official CBSI podcast. So I want to make that really clear. Simpleman podcast. They talk about a wide range of topics from comics primarily, but also they'll get into toys, movie news, sports cards, anything kind of collectible and in the hobby that people are flipping and making money on. It's a really entertaining show. These guys deserve your attention. They've been grinding for a while. So be sure to check them out. Tales from the Flip Side, CBSI. Give them a follow. Give them a subscribe. Give the show a shot. I'm telling you, I enjoy watching that show weekly. I know Brian's a part of that show. And, absolutely fantastic job those guys do. You're seeing like these foreign variants pop off in the market right now. These are the first guys that were ever talking about it. They were so early to the market. Go back and check those old episodes where they have entire episodes getting into that topic because they were just really ahead of the market on that one. And also, Ben Stein from the Hot 10 list, a guy who a lot of people are familiar with his work, but I don't think really understand yet his importance in the hobby. He's on Tales from the Flip Side. So it's an opportunity to watch him on a weekly basis and to be able to interact with the writer of the CBSI Hot 10. So I can't pitch those guys enough. Be sure to check them out. That's Monday nights. What's it, 9:30, Brian?
Monday nights at 9:30 Eastern.
Yep, Eastern. So be sure to check them out. And if you missed the live show, no big deal. Just like with our show, check that replay out. Yeah. It's also on comicbookinvest.com.
Yeah, they do have the audio version on comicbookinvest.com as well as iTunes as well. But yeah, so I ordered some CBSI swag, and Scott was nice enough to throw me in a Forgotten Five hat. So love that. Kudos to them. And it's awesome. I mean, even the CBSI hat, so the nice flex fit. Oh, I got to cover up. Need a haircut. Need a haircut bad. But before we get into the Bolo list, we have a huge announcement, right? It's a pretty big announcement.
Yes. Oh, yes. Big announcement. We're hitting you guys with back-to-back week announcements. So excited.
Yes. So on our channel, we interviewed Adrian and Damian Wassel from Vault Comics. And it's no secret that we love those Vault Vintage Homage covers. And we've even done a Vault Vintage Homage variant before. But we have a new one that just got announced. It's available to pre-order. It's not in hand. It comes out, it's 2 weeks? 17th?
Yeah, it's the 17th. The 17th. They should be due to ship by the 22nd.
Yes. And so it's on the site right now. I'm just going to bring it up here. Show it. No use in hiding it. But Sarah and the Royal Stars, #1. This is a Wonder Woman homage, right? I'll let Jack.
Right.
I'm bad at reviews and everything, so I'm going to let you talk about this book.
Yes, let me go into my pitch here, guys. So again, one thing I want to say before I really talk about the book, I want to really harp on the fact that we listen to you guys. When we started this variant program, we told you guys we didn't want to just be another variant retailer. We want to provide you guys with unique collectibles, something that you want, something that you want to keep in your collection, and something that you want to invest your money in. And we listened to you guys about print run, about price, and we made some adjustments with this offering. And I want you guys to know it came directly from talking to you guys. So Sarah and the Royal Stars, it's going to be the next big Vault book. They've done a lot of hype over this book. There was some hinting. If you watched the Adrian and Damian Wassel interview, they sort of hinted that there would be something coming from CBSI, and this is what we were talking about. We've got a beautiful Wonder Woman #1 homage here. This harkens back to the original Volume 1 Wonder Woman, that Golden Age Wonder Woman. So again, we're hitting you with another Golden Age homage and another homage cover that you really haven't seen done in the marketplace. There were some other books that we could have gone with for an homage, but and some other people have looked at those books before and done those books, but we wanted, again, to come up with something unique. I love it. I think it's a stunning and beautiful cover. We've got that back trade dress again that Vault does just better than anybody. So one thing we did is when we released The Queen of Bad Dreams, if you remember, we had a 500 copy print run on that book. And to create a unique collectible for you guys, something that was desirable and in demand, we've lowered the print run this time. So there will be 250 copies printed up of this book. Out of that 250 copies, 220 are available to the public. Of course, the other 30 copies we use for writer comps and contests and so on and so forth. So we've cut the print run down in half from the last book. The other thing you'll notice if you head to comicbookinvest.com right now, hit that variant tab, because again, they're available right now, as always, first to Simpleman's Comics YouTube family, letting you guys know. We haven't posted it again on social media. We haven't put it anywhere. You guys are the first to find out, and you guys have been so loyal. You guys gave us a 24-hour sellout last week on that Mad Cave Knights of the Golden Sun #1 Virgin. So thank you, kudos to you guys. But we're letting you guys know right now. One thing we did is we lowered the price. You'll see that the book is available for $17. Now, I will say that does not include shipping. But the reason why we did that is because I've heard from many of you, and again, I know you guys are speculators. You guys want to invest in this book. You want to get in the game. And you want to save on shipping buying multiple copies. So what we've done is, by lowering the price to $15 and not including shipping within the price. So again, there'll be shipping added on top at checkout. It makes it a little easier if you guys want to go ahead and grab 3-5 copies of this book. You know, indie comics have become kind of like the biggest tool for speculation right now, and we want to make sure that while we're offering you a unique collectible, and you know, we're not out here pitching this as an investment, we want to make sure that it's available to you in that manner as well, because again, we're CBSI, comic book speculating and investing, comicbookinvest.com, and we know that you as CBSI Nation, that's kind of the mode that you get into, so we want to make that available to you. But nothing else changes. At the end of the day, you're still going to get those Mylar bags. You're still going to get that numbered CBSI sticker. You're still going to get $2 donated to St. Jude's Children's Fund. And if you follow us on Instagram and you check out our story, we made a donation today from last week's book to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, which is just again, amazing charity that Brian's got his cancer shirt on. And obviously I'm affected by cancer this week. Brian's been affected by cancer. So I know so many of you, the amount of you that have reached out to me and shared your personal and private experiences was absolutely heartwarming. But, you know, I can't imagine as a father of 2 children having to go through it with a child. So what St. Jude's does is absolutely amazing. And we're very proud to partner with them and get to, you know, make a donation. And again, and thank you guys, the community, for buying these books and allowing us to do that. So, you know, like I said, nothing else changes. We're still going to give you the same quality shipping, the same quality materials. The only difference is we're trying to listen to what you guys want as far as price and print run and selection of books. So we're very happy to be back with doing another book with Vault Comics. Their quality is unquestioned. We were very happy with Queen of Bad Dreams. Copies are still available at comicbookinvest.com. Hit that variant tab. But, you know, we just wanted to make some tweaks going into this one. So that's something about us that you're going to see going forward with CBSI Comics is, again, we're creating these for our community, and we are always going to try to make adjustments and do things that we feel like deliver you guys the best quality product, the best quality price, and to kind of help you avoid some of those negative experiences that, trust me, we hear you guys talking about with other retailers, and we don't want to be a part of that. So thank you guys for your participation and everything. And as always, guys, it's live right now. It's available right now, comicbookinvest.com. Only 220 copies available. We're doing a pre-order again, so you got a couple weeks before this book drops. But don't sleep on this one, because you guys know we're going to talk about some books today where the buzz got super serious on them come release day. So, you know, I try to stay away from a heavy sales pitch and telling you buy now, buy now, buy now, because, you know, our channel motto is buy what you like. So I want to make sure, you know, if you like it, grab it. But at the same point, I will tell you, a pre-order is a little bit of a different game, because you just never know in the next 2 weeks how things can go. But, yeah, it's available on the site right now, $17 and $2 going to St. Jude's. We hope you guys like it. Definitely let us know how you're feeling this book in the comments section. And, you know, shout out to Vault Comics, again, for putting out another quality variant that we're really proud to have our brand associated with.
Right. And I want to take this time also to say thanks to Cantankerous, which I hope I said that right, with another super chat of $15. Just so you know, before the show even started, there was a $5 super chat waiting from him already. So huge thanks to that. And like he said, there's also a link in the description of this video if you want to check out that Sarah and the Royal Stars exclusive variant from CBSI. And I also want to take a time, sound like Mario there, take a time. I also want to take the time to say shout out to Anthony L, because I'm a complete a-hole and totally left him out when talking about Forgotten Five. But he's the one that pretty much runs their website. But he's kind of out of sight, out of mind, because he's north of the wall up there in Minnesota, don't you know? So I think he's just now thawing out from the winter. But yeah, huge shout out to Anthony L also, because he gave a shout out in the chat about the hat I'm wearing. But with that being said, we're gonna roll right into last week's Bolo Rewind. Sorry, had some few announcements to make tonight, but we have the Bolo Rewind. And first up to talk about last week is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 40. Now, we were hot on this because a while back, well, one, Jack's a huge Power Rangers fan and keeps track of it, but we also a while back had an interview with the marketing VP Arun Singh from Boom Studios, and right after, we just last week aired a follow-up interview, and Arun spent 15 minutes or so talking about how big this issue is.
Right. And again, we say follow the money. So Boom Studios, they're putting their money, their effort, their backing into it. And Arun let you know, this is a long-term one. I didn't have to make the call to make this a long-term play. He let everybody know that. So yeah, this book on the whole isn't say spiking over ratio over cover price yet, but they're selling very briskly. There's tons of interest. The market is drying of copies, and I think as we get into this story more, this story is going to sell more. And I only wish I could share with you guys what Brian and I know is coming down the pike that we've been sworn to Boom secrecy that we can't say anything about. But it's you're going to want to get on board early. And it's interesting to note. Shout out to the stores that did some exclusive variants, because some of these exclusives are selling well above the rate that a normal exclusive would sell for. So there's several of these out there, and one of our great Patreons got one in their Bolo box this week.
Yes. Also, we will recap what Arun said in the interview, is that Dan Mora variant, the one you see that has actual word bubbles on it, they're doing 11 covers starting with issue 40, 11 covers with that variant like that. It's regular price variant, I believe, right?
Right. Regular price variant. It wasn't offered until like the day of FOC.
Yeah.
It got snuck straight under the radar, and he said it's definitely the lowest print of the covers.
Yes. And each one is a page of a story that's going to be an 11-page story with the huge reveal with the last issue. So,
yeah, and he said it will not be reprinted.
Yep.
So there's no plans to reprint. So it's not going to show up in the trade or anything else. The only way you're going to get that piece of the story is through those covers. So, Marvel's done things like that, and they haven't necessarily taken off. This seems to be something that they're a little more heavily invested in.
So what's there, we want to put the information out to you. I'm not going to say, hey, dude, go buy up all these covers. You're going to be putting your kids through college. We just want to say that the information's there. I, for one, am definitely picking them up because I like the fact that each one's going to lead up to a story, and there's going to be a reveal on the last issue. We'll see how it plays out in the market, because market always tells. But if you're a Power Rangers fan, or I'm not even a huge Power Rangers fan, but since that first Arun interview, I've been picking these books up and I've been enjoying the story on it.
Yeah, and if you watch the last one, with all this going on with my family, my brothers came in town, and one of my brothers is just a diehard Power Ranger fan. We were going through pictures of our family for the funeral, and we found so many pictures of him dressed as Power Rangers, different Halloweens. But he was so excited when he read this issue. As soon as I saw that, dollar signs were going off in my head, because I know that that's the reaction that diehard Power Ranger fans are going to have. And we've talked about these fandoms. We're going to get into it a little bit later with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You have to respect these fandoms, whether they're your kind of thing or not. That's how you can make some money.
Right. So next for the rewind, this is another big book, an indie book from IDW, and that's Canto number 1. And this is another one that we also interviewed the creators, a week before FOC, right? We interviewed David Boer, Drew Zucker, the writer and artist on this book. And just talking to them made me more interested in the book, and then the trailer, and then they gave us an advanced copy to read. So definitely was well aware of this book, and other people seem to like it as well.
Yeah, this was one we I guess say we humble bragged about, but I haven't been that humble about it because I was championing this book the day I read it in previews, the day I talked to David Boer. And again, I've talked about this. Part of the reason why this book sold, guys, as great as the story is the creators. They worked their butts off to get this in front of as many people as possible. And in independent comics, that is the game. So, I knew with these guys, the combination of a great story, a timely story, a story people could kind of connect to. I know how low printed IDW books can be, and combined with these guys just being good quality guys who are out there really trying to promote their book, I knew that this kind of had the formula, and you see it right now. First prints are going for like $25 to $30 still on the market. I know there's a lot of talk about the printing issue that went on, a lot of books getting creased. I don't know whether that's a printing issue or a shipping issue, but I know, like we talked with Nick from Slabbed Heroes, a lot of people are able to press those out. It's taken some work, but they are able to be pressed out. So I think that this is going to be something to keep an eye on. There's a San Diego Comic-Con variant coming. There's a second print coming. They just announced that the second print is sold out and the third print is coming. So yeah, these guys are killing it, man. And be on the lookout for issue number 2. There's going to be 1 in 10 incentives for every single book. So be on the lookout for those.
Right. And we're going to get into the last book on last week's Rewind, and this is another book that was hot, and it was Marvel Comics Presents number 6.
Yes. So this is another one where the market went nuts. I'm frankly shocked at where the pricing went for this. But to me, this is FOMO at its finest. And I totally respect the whole Wolverine's daughter thing. And as I said last week, shout out to Nick from Key Collector Comics, who was like real early on this one. And I think the market sort of followed. But, I'm still cautious about it because there's lots of kids of Wolverine. He certainly, we made the Antonio Cromartie comparison last week. Wolverine certainly got around. Now, Marvel's behind this. We've already had Charles Soule has confirmed it. This is, Wolverine's daughter. We've already got a name. And it's important to note that there was a cameo appearance. That if you're asking me, it's a first appearance. This isn't even really a first appearance if you're asking me. I think issue 5 was the first appearance, but I know that the market won't agree, and the market's always right, whatever. So, but it's one of those things. I'd look out for issue number 5. Look out for that 1 in 50 for issue number 5. Issue number 6 is doing huge numbers. It's a tough find out there in LCSs, and it's also important to note Marvel knows where the money is. So we're getting a second print. We're getting a second print with a 125 incentive with the new character on the cover. So I expect that from now on forever, anytime one of these books shoots up to that kind of price. And you guys know I love late printings, but they're ruining it for me. They're taking all my joy from late printings away. So I think people will be all over that. And another thing that's important to note, I talked with Kevin Fields, who's the owner of Frankie's Comics. You guys might be familiar with. They do a lot of exclusive variants, and they've done a lot that have really set the trend in the market. And a lot of people may not know this, but Kevin Fields is a longtime CBSI member. And he was talking about how, back a couple of years ago, Marvel only used to make certain books available for retailer exclusives. And now any Marvel book or any retailer can get in contact with Marvel and do a retailer exclusive for. So I think that's really changed the game. And I think that's why you're seeing these like late printing retailer exclusives and things like that, is because retailers can kind of sit back and see what happens in the market and then make those adjustments and moves. So Marvel is full on cash grab when it comes with those at this point. So that's important to note when you're out there spending your money.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, because I noticed on one of the ones I picked up, and then I started seeing other people mentioning the same thing, but there was 3/4 down the comic on the spine, there was like a little almost color breaking spine tick. And I was pissed off when I found it, but then now I'm starting to see it's like in the same area on a bunch of books. It's like a little, 1/4 of an inch spine tick. But yeah, be aware of that, because I noticed a lot of people have been talking about it now. So now it seems like it's more common than what I thought. But so with that being said, that gives us our Bolo rewind from last week. And before we get into this week's Bolo list, I want to give a huge shout out again to everyone in the chat. We are on a holiday night, 4th of July, and we got a huge turnout in the live chat tonight. So kudos to all you guys. Really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us to talk comics. Love talking comics with every one of you. And as always, if you have a YouTube channel and you're in the chat, put your channel name in the chat so other people can see it. Check out your content and subscribe to your channel as well. I will say tomorrow night there's a YouTuber, Tony Fett. I'm going to be guest on his channel, so I'm really looking forward to that and talking comics with him as well. But again, if you have a YouTube channel, I know a lot of people out here do, make sure you put it in the live chat so people can check out your content.
Yeah, and also, guys, check out right now. We've got Gotham City Comics in the chat, sharing great retailer information, great retailer perspective in the chat. So shout out to them. Be sure to check them out. Give them a follow on social media. But yeah, guys, love this chat. Keep it up, and we'll definitely be trying to interact with you guys as we go.
Yeah. So this week's Bolo list, in case you aren't aware, Bolo list comes out every Tuesday night, sometimes really early Wednesday morning. But we cover, or I say we, Jack's the creator of the list. It's got the confirmed first appearances. It's important to say that we put confirmed. There's a big one that came out later that we don't have on the list, but we are going to talk about tonight, of course. Yes. And then we also talk about reader buzz, variant buzz, and then Jack always gives a long-term play. What he thinks worth buying now for cheap, and then we'll appreciate over time instead of just more of a quick flip. Correct, Jack?
Yeah, correct. And I think that I said last week. Last week was the week I was waiting for 3 months. I have to say, man, this week is another week where I had a book penciled in for my long-term play probably a month ago, and I'll tell you straight up, it's Sea of Stars. And boy, did the events of this week change things. So this is another really good week in comics, guys. I really hope you guys hit the comic shops the last couple weeks.
Yeah, this is one when I did my Wednesday pick, video. First, I'm like, man, this is kind of a crappy week for comics because you don't have anything that's like just in your face. And then, of course, the news for Walking Dead started coming out and some other news, and it turned out to be a fantastic week, especially for independent publishers. So we're going to get into that here shortly, but we're going to start off with the first appearances for this week. Not as big as last week, but there were quite a few. And we're going to kick right onto it right now, and we're going to talk about Transformers number.
So Transformers number 8, we have a first appearance, and I have to admit I'm not extremely familiar with it. I read issue 7. I haven't read issue 8 yet. Issue 7 kicked off a new storyline, and again, I talk about follow the money. IDW's hyping this storyline, so they talk a lot about changing the lore of Transformers, and I also have it on some good authority that they want to bring in some new blood, some new characters. So, excuse me. So, I really think that this first appearance where I'm still seeing the 1 in 10 incentives available at like $8 to $10. But I'll tell you guys, in full transparency, I bought some because I'm buying this entire Transformers new arc because I really think, again, I've read a lot of solicits and I read a lot of advertising on IDW really trying to put more out there with this Transformers. I just think it's getting overlooked because 2 weeks in a row, IDW's kind of had the top book in the market, and it's kind of overshadowed some of these Transformers releases. So if you haven't grabbed Transformers number 7, be on the lookout for that one. It's got the poly bag with the Transformers pack of cards in it, which was a surprise, and I think that's going to create something where there's going to be poly-bagged versions on the market, unpoly-bagged versions. But yeah, I would grab. I think that 1 in 10 is by, and I'm probably going to butcher the last name, but Jeffrey Veregi or Reggie, who's done Marvel work and he's been kind of everywhere, a lot of Image stuff. So I think it's kind of being slept on a bit. But if we have any people in the chat who have read this one, let us know what you thought. Let us know what you thought about the first appearance. But we don't get a ton of Transformers first appearances, and this was one that people knew about in advance. It was out there. It was solicited. So I'm kind of interested and bullish to see where this goes.
Right. I believe Perry Comics. If you guys watch Perry Comics YouTube channel, he was on this week with Perry. It was Perry, Just a Rican, and then of course Comic Jabroni. They had a weekly Tuesday show, and he was talking about the first appearance in this as well. I've read like the first 3 issues because it was like a new origin type storyline, but I kind of dropped off just because too many comics and not enough time.
Yeah. But I kind of got onto this Transformers because of the whole new origin thing. Is I'm interested when companies take something that's so popular and they kind of want to tweak it because there's always a reason why. So again, we talked about this. Hasbro is, they're redoing the whole movie thing with Transformers. Bumblebee was kind of their first foray into kind of the new Transformers film universe. So, guys, I'm bullish on all this stuff because I really think anything's in play with Transformers. They kind of can't go back and do stuff they've already done.
Yeah.
So they're going to look to do new things. So keep an eye out for Transformers. It's definitely not a quick flip. But we've talked about this before. If you've watched the Hot and Cold show, we just talked about Transformers incentives. Sorry, guys, we missed the Hot and Cold show this week due to some of the events in my family. But we will be back next week for sure. Transformers incentives, there's just not a lot of them out there on the market. And when they dry up, and the prices can get ridiculous.
Right. And then definitely, whenever you see the IDW throws out a 1 in 25 variant, you should scoop those up because it doesn't happen very often because they're common as the 1 through a 1 in 10. But
and I'll also tell you a good tip is when they do that, there's a reason. Yeah. If they put a higher ratio incentive for a book that's not a number 1, there's a good chance that there's something going to happen in that issue that they are telling dealers, hey, we're putting an extra incentive on this because we want you guys to order more. And that, as a buyer, when you see that, guys, I've got a lot of IDW experience. When you see that, that should tip you off. So I'll tell you one right now that Brian and I have our eye on is that G.I. Joe 266 coming up with that new storyline. They've got the higher incentives on that, and I think it's going to be big. It's a Snake Eyes-centric storyline.
Yep. Yeah. And that's one of those ones that's great for retailers to do their variants on as well. But next in the first appearances this week, we have Fantastic Four Prodigal Son #1, which is the first appearance of Prodigal.
Yeah, and I kind of like this one. I don't know how you guys feel, but this one feels like a penny stock to me. It feels like a long shot. They're doing multiple books that kind of play into this story. There's no heat on Fantastic Four. We all know this. So I already know, if you want to poo-poo my spec on this, I'm fine with that because I totally understand it. But my feeling is they have to get back to Fantastic Four at some point. We know they want to do a movie franchise. And again, they can't do the same stuff. We know that, they want to modernize it because most of the classic Fantastic Four stories date back to 50s and 60s, and this was a character that they solicited and kind of let everyone know was coming, yet people didn't jump on board. So I'm really curious about this one. This is a book for me, and again, transparency, guys. We created this show. I'm not telling you what to buy. I'm just telling you how I do it, and this is a book I grab 3 or 4 copies and stick in a short box because you just never know. You never know when a character like this could pop. And I don't think the print run on this is going to be huge because there really wasn't a ton of buzz. I did see when the book first got announced, there was some Facebook posts in our Facebook group. If you guys aren't a member of our Facebook group, sign up. Facebook's the Wild West, and there's certainly some things on there that you're like, oh, my God. But at the same point, I got to say, this week, our Facebook is getting better. This week, there was some great information in there. When we talk about this Turtles 95, if you were in our Facebook group, you'd have gotten some quick and early information. I didn't want to post on Instagram in the middle of the night, so I held off until the morning. But boy, in the middle of the night, they weren't waiting on Facebook, so you could have gotten some early information. So be sure to check out our Facebook. Make sure you're getting those notifications because you just never know what kind of information you're going to get. And shout out to a lot of our listeners here who are very active in our Facebook group. We appreciate it. You guys are setting the tone for the community, and we appreciate that.
Right. So if I remember correctly, this is going to be, a 3-issue type story?
Yeah, 3-issue story. I think
it's going to cross over with Guardian. It's going to cross over with Guardians and Silver Surfer, right?
Right, and I think that's why I'm bullish on it is because we know that the movies are going cosmic. So I like that the Fantastic Four are being more put in with the cosmic heroes.
Right. Speaking of which, talking about movies. Sorry to go off topic, but I know you took your kids and I took my kids today to see Spider-Man Far From Home, and I can't say enough good things about it. Really enjoyed it. My kids loved it. I've even been as bullish to say that I enjoyed it better than I enjoyed Avengers Endgame. But
And I can see that. Avengers Endgame is tough because Avengers Endgame is such an important movie, but it's a fun movie, man. I can't say anything bad about it. Like, we laughed the whole time. Everyone enjoyed it. From me to the kids' mothers to the kids, to the uncles we were there with. Everybody enjoyed it. It was fun, and for us comic fans, there was lots of like Easter eggs and spoilers and little things in there. Definitely got my juices flowing when I went home. Got my spec juices flowing. What do I need to look at? Where do I need to go next? So definitely check it out. I can't advocate that one enough.
Yep. And I finally saw Shazam last night on digital, and I actually really enjoyed it. That's probably one of my favorite DCU movies because it's actually enjoyable to watch. It was entertaining. It was fun.
It's funny because I think there's a part of you that almost you felt like you needed to temper that statement. So you said it's one of my favorite. What DCU movie is better than that?
Yeah.
Honestly, because Aquaman was good, Wonder Woman was good. Shazam is fun though.
Dude, it's like it's like big with superpowers.
Right.
And it was awesome. I mean, I'm saying it in a good way because I enjoyed it.
That's a good description. Big with superpowers. I just again, and I know we're probably dating ourselves age-wise, bringing up big, but yeah. So, but yeah. So like, it's just a fun movie. The comparison I made it to is it's like DC's Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Which if DC had the other movies to kind of blend with it, it kind of would get more shine. The problem is it's got to kind of stand on its own because DC's other movies have struggled so much.
Yeah.
But if you watch it, you're gonna get excited ready for that sequel.
And there's people putting in the chat great movies, but I always consider DCU post Man of Steel and beyond, not the Nolan trilogy were all great movies. Watchmen.
Yeah. No. We're talking current DC.
Yeah.
Watchmen's awesome. Look, I'm a Michael Keaton Batman dude. Yeah. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking this current your mom's Martha, my mom's Martha, so we're not gonna fight type of movies. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, Deathstroke 45 as we get back on the Bolo list. And this is spoiler alert. People were complaining about this being a spoiler, but this says Rose's Deathstroke, right? I mean, everyone knows Deathstroke took an arrow. Like, Deathstroke died like 3 issues ago, right?
Yeah, see, that's one of those things, like, people that are getting... I always laugh when we get junk like that, because it's one of those things, anybody who complained isn't reading the series. So, that's just complaining to complain. Also, guys, check Google, because this was out there. People were talking about this. People were talking about this Tuesday.
Well, it wasn't exactly who, but it was that it was going to happen was in the actual solicit for the book, if I remember correctly.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There was a lot. I had other speculators trying to tell me that, like, I took it from them, kind of thing. Again, that's what the Bolo list is. It's all information that's out there. I'm not creating this. I didn't speculate myself and then predict right. That's not the case. So, I didn't take it from anybody. But yeah. So also, by the way, it's important to note there is some debate in the community that did Rose Wilson ever become Deathstroke in the past. So I think there's some talk about that. I'm gonna leave that question up to Topher, aka FOMO the Puppet, aka the Mass Speculator, because nobody is better than that guy at figuring those things out. The most controversial man in comics, because when he says something, it's gonna piss off half the community. But I love that guy, and he's as talented as they get. But I think that this issue is important because, like Brian said, Deathstroke died a few issues ago. There seems to be some permanence coming this. A lot of these like character changes, they don't always feel that way. And I don't know what made DC decide to make this move. I think they might have just felt like they went everywhere they could go with Slade. Of course, we're living in a world where there's a Lazarus pit. So people can always get brought back to life. So you don't want to I'm less excited about this issue as I am. If you guys go to comicbookinvest.com and you check out the CBSI Bolo list on comicbookinvest.com, I've got some exclusive back issue Bolos, and I brought up Deathstroke Volume 1, number 15, the first appearance of Rose Wilson. Sometimes when new books come out, it's not so much about the new book itself as it is what the new book does on the market. So this book has popped off Deathstroke 15, and I'm more bullish about Deathstroke 15 than I am on this book. As Brian said, this was heavily solicited. I don't know what this is really going to do long term, but I like Deathstroke 15. I think that DC cleared some plan for Rose.
Yeah, that book got hot a while back when Rose was first gonna appear on Arrow, like 3 years ago or so. That book,
right?
You saw a spike in that book as well, but
that book's one of those books that if you've been speculating, like you and I, Brian, if you've been in CBSI, Brian and I have been in CBSI at this point for, I don't know, 7-8 years, something like that, and we've seen this book spike 3 or 4 times. It's always funny when new speculators come into the market, they tend to reinvigorate dead spec. And this book was kind of dead spec for a few times. This is a book that I commonly pull out of the dollar box, talking about Deathstroke 15. It's commonly a dollar box book. And it has periods of time, like right now, where it shoots up and it's a $25 book, and then it drops kind of back down. So I'll say to you guys, if you're hitting summer conventions, check out those dollar boxes, but check out those $5 boxes. Check out those $5 and $10 boxes. There's a lot of probably these copies sitting in those boxes, and I think it's worth a buy. Also, Rose should appear on Titans this season as well. So you're getting kind of a lot of reasons that could spike this book going forward.
Right. So moving right along into the first appearances, we have Immortal Hulk number 20. And this was Metatron. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, again, I hadn't read this one. I'm reading Immortal Hulk. This is one I'm excited to read. I will say, from everybody who read it, they were telling me like rave reviews about this issue. That I know the last couple issues kind of disappointed people a little bit, and people were very excited with this one. So, we have what seems to be a new character coming at the end. We'll have to see again, of course, see where this is going with the story. There's been a lot of characters in the story. We don't know how many of them are really going to just stay kind of native to this story, or how many of them will kind of bleed out into other stories. But again, we talk about follow the money. Marvel definitely sees the money in Immortal Hulk. They definitely see the money in the storyline. So I got to believe something is going to come of this. This is the most success Hulk has had since World War Hulk, since that whole era. Hulk is not a huge selling comic for Marvel. So I think they really enjoyed this. This is kind of an undercover first appearance, though. Not a lot of people who are buying this book are buying it for the first appearance.
Yeah.
They're buying it because they're reading the series. Also, it's important to note, you see a Carnageized variant. There also was a Carnage, that like entrail trade dress with the one-page.
Secret variant type.
Right, the secret variant, the 50-50. And it's important to note that it's 50-50 because stores are getting about 50% of their allocation with those. So it's not, super rare. But the cool thing about it is those stories are going to lead into Absolute Carnage, and you never know what happens with Absolute Carnage. I could always see those sets of secret variants popping later on in the market. But that's something to keep an eye on.
To me, it reminds me when I used to collect baseball cards, and like the Anaheim Angels halo was white instead of yellow on some of the cards, and people were all picking them up. But I mean, I could see this popping way better than that does. But one thing I also want to mention is Alex Ross on his site. He had variants for this issue. Like one was like the regular Incredible Hulk #1 type homage cover with the banner, and then the Hulk behind him. And there was another cover for this as well. And he was selling sets, I think, for $50 for the two of them. And of course, shipping was kind of expensive, but I don't know if they're still available. They went on sale. I think it was the week I was on vacation because I was down in Charleston trying to buy them when my family was wanting to go eat barbecue. But with that being said, also
I agree. I gotta say, I also agree in the chat. We talked about what Marvel's going to do publishing wise. I think if they ever look to make a movie, whether or an animated, I think this could be good prime for an animated feature as well. I definitely think this storyline is going to happen, but I don't know if that could take time.
Yeah, and Universal has the rights for Hulk, right? I believe.
Right, Hulk is a mess of a situation. But this is where
Hulk and
I would look at Universal and say, you guys have been struggling to put a movie out, and you got the hottest Marvel reading series right now. Jump on this one.
I think Submariner's the same way, but who knows? I mean, Kevin Feige can just walk over there and be like, "Look what we did with Spider-Man," but who knows?
Right.
I don't work in that industry, so I don't know all the politics and bureaucracy, and I'm sure there's a lot of it. But yeah, one thing I want to say is Comic Cats. They just joined the chat. Another great YouTube channel, and when they came in, they put the cats are here, and all I could think of is Jersey Shore with old Polly going, "Cabs are here," but we got the cats are here. Cats are here, but another great YouTube channel, especially if you like humor. They do a lot of skits on there, and I always watch it and find myself laughing. So kudos to them. Again, if you have a YouTube channel, we said it earlier, make sure you're putting your channel name in the chat so people can check it out. But last on the Bolo list for first appearances, I'll say, is Savage Avengers number 3.
All right, it's a sneaky one because, it's a Sword first appearance, which, again, I usually don't list on the list, but there was definitely some buzz for it, so I wanted to include it. It's a venomized Conan sword. Also, it does appear that Conan goes venomized in the issue, so that's something to keep an eye out for. Long term, it'll be nothing. But it's funny the way Venom collectors are. They like everything Venom. And I don't know how heavily printed this issue is going to be. But people are digging it, though. Elektra joined the group in this issue. Little spoiler there for you. But people are really liking Savage Avengers that are reading it. I hear nothing but good things. So I think it's one that I don't see this as an investment from a first appearance standpoint, but I do think there's a good chance that this thing could do something long-term for reader buzz.
Right. And, I mean, you talk about a sword. What was it? Thor number 6, the Jason Aaron, right? I mean, it got hot over there for the sword in that issue. But
right. So if Donny Cates decides he wants to bring Conan into some story and bring that, sure, absolutely. But we would need Sir Cates to be involved in that before anything would happen.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, he's got the Midas touch, man. He made Doctor Strange sell out. Not that that's a bad story, but it wasn't selling out. And when he wrote the couple issues for Doctor Strange, you saw people picking those up. But
and I think that's why people are always wondering why doesn't Marvel let Donny Cates write Spider-Man or something like that? Well, that's why, because Spider-Man sells itself. The X-Men sells well. These are books that sell well. I think Donny Cates is like true talent. Has been taking these series like Silver Surfer and Thanos and books like that haven't traditionally done numbers and make them super relevant. Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with Savage Avengers as much, but Conan the Barbarian and Savage Sword of Conan are two of my favorite reads from Marvel, and definitely enjoy those storylines. But especially, I mean, I pick up pretty much anything Jason Aaron. But with that being said, what wasn't on the list but is one of the hottest books of the week, of course, is, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 95. And why is this even important, Jack?
Well, first off, guys, we're going to get into some spoilers here. So I'm going to put this out right now. But this is a issue I pre-ordered because, you guys know if you watch this show, I'm a big IDW guy. I'm a big fan of these kind of cartoon properties, these television properties. I think that they are the next to boom in the market. I think that all of these problems that people complain about with Marvel and DC don't exist with these properties. They're low print runs. They're not cash grabs. They're quality stories and quality art. And in this issue, I think it's the second issue leading up into the issue number 100, the City at War story. And if you've been following this story, it's all about kind of Splinter getting to a point where he's kind of reached his breaking point. And there's some tension in the Turtles about the way he's going about it. And he has leaned more and more heavily on his number 2. There's a character named Jenica. Jenica is a former Foot Clan soldier who has kind of joined the ranks with the Turtles. And in this issue, we see her get stabbed, and she's dying. and she's given a blood transfusion from Leonardo, which causes her in the very last page to turn into a turtle. And so it appears that we may have a 5th Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and the first female Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in comics. Yes, there was one in that terrible TV show, but we're not going to bring that up and talk about that because it's irrelevant. But this is the first appearance, or at least a cameo, of Jennica, aka Jenny, as the 5th turtle. Now, it's important to note, I got a back issue Bolo here for you guys. She did first appear in issue 51 of the series, which is the issue that kind of came after that huge landmark 50th issue, and I think got slept on. If you look, those artist 1 in 10 variants are nowhere to be found. So be on the lookout for issue 51. Cover A. Cover B is a blank variant. It's an artist-proof blank variant. And I haven't seen any of those in the market. And there's also a convention variant, I believe Rhode Island Comic Con. So I definitely want to point that out. Because when we talk about the money, if you guys aren't familiar with what these books are going for, then you're going to be kind of stunned. Many of you know it's kind of been a talk of today. If you follow us on Instagram, I put a post up highlighting it. Our Facebook has been littered with comments. But people are excited about this. News broke on a lot of websites, comicbook.com, Newsarama. They're talking about this. So I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything for you guys because it's all over the internet. But people are hyped about this. There is some momentum building. We are seeing cover A and cover B go for about $30 each. And we're talking a day after release day, you're going for almost 10 times cover price. The 1 in 10 variant is going over $100. We're seeing people's asking prices reach as high as $250. And I've heard people say that it has 1,000. The Ninja Turtle average print run is about 10,000. So there's about 1,000 1 in 10s. Guys, that's not even true, because you have to order 10 copies to get a 1 in 10. You know how many stores don't order 10 copies of Ninja Turtles? You know how many stores exist out there that are ordering 3 and 5 copies? So they're only producing 1 in 10s to match the orders, and the orders, they're not like that. So that's why you're seeing this book dry up and disappear. I think that this is a book that could have some staying power. Some of the haters are trying to say, oh, they'll undo it, and they may. I gotta caution you, they may. This story is really just getting started leading up to issue number 100. But I'm an advocate of this one, not for a long-term play, but this is just a great book to make some money on right now. Yeah. If you were able to get in on this book, if you were able to buy this thing, shout out to our Patreons. I'm going to be getting more involved in our Patreon. I definitely want to be more heavily throwing you guys bolos, but I hit Brian with a bolo yesterday for Patreon only. So you guys had the link to buy these things at cover price, when they were still available from IDW. And, that's what I'm an advocate of. Buy this book at cover price and flip this book right now, because mainstream media is jumping all over this. I promise issue 96 will go into this more. We'll probably keep this book hot, but it's important to note that Ninja Turtles has done these last page kind of teases and then reversed it a month later. That's happened a few times. There are some other key issues for this character. Issue number 59, she returns. That was the issue that famously had the fake Splinter death. So that was a book that's kind of dead spec that I think is one to keep an eye out for. She was also heavily kind of featured in the new Comic Book Day story. So that's another one to kind of keep an eye out for. She's also on the cover of the B variant by Kevin Eastman of issue number 92. So I could even see that getting some heat as we go forward. If she doesn't remain a turtle, it doesn't invalidate issue number 51. I think either way, I think this is a key character. I think issue number 51 is a safe bet. If she stays a turtle, then issue number 51 becomes what I said yesterday in our chat. It becomes ASM 344, the first appearance of Cletus Cassidy, where it's important, but it's not as important as the first appearance of Carnage. Her as a turtle, if she stays a turtle, will be far more important. If she goes back and is just a person, and also she's been dating Casey Jones,
Again, she's Shredder's number 2. So if Shredder's getting old, if Shredder passes, this could be who kind of takes over the Shredder role with the team. And you guys know I'm real bullish on this stuff. And then look at the movies. These Ninja Turtle movies have not done. They've done money, but they haven't done in the market what other comic book movies have done. I absolutely think this character could be in play in future movies. So I'm real bullish on this. I think that this is one to keep an eye out for. And then we're going to talk about retailer exclusive variants because the internet went nuts because she's actually featured on a cover by the shop Comics and Ponies, who a lot of people aren't familiar with. So it kind of went under the radar. But the reason they were able to get her on the cover, such spoiler, is that it's a Teen Eastman variant. So they worked directly with Kevin Eastman on the production of this variant. So that book is a virgin cover that features Jennika as a turtle on the cover. If she stays a turtle, that is by far the book to get. And you're seeing that book explode to over $100. So I'll tell you guys, last night, good 3 a.m, I'm getting ready. It's a little earlier than that. I'm getting ready to go to bed. And I start delving into this whole Ninja Turtle situation. Boy, next thing you know, I'm all over the internet. I'm buying from here. I'm buying from there. I'm trying to find copies unsuccessfully. So, guys, I was just like you guys. I was FOMOing, trying to chase it, trying to find it. And shout out to everybody who in the Facebook group who's been mentioning copies that they were able to find. This is one of those situations where when these things pop like this, there's really no limit because Ninja Turtle fans are rabid, but they just play in a small pond. So when you guys who don't usually mess with Ninja Turtles or don't usually mess with G.I. Joe or Transformers, when you jump in and you feel like you have to have it, that's what pops this market. That's what sends this market going crazy. So that's why I talk to you guys every week about playing in this market, why it can allow you to make some money. If you were early on this, TFAW had copies of The Incentive last week for $3.19. Midtown, before this kind of got public on Tuesday, they had copies for $8.50. So this book was accessible. This book was there. And it wasn't till a couple days before release where retailers started getting that word. When retailers get their comics in on Tuesday and they flip through them, it certainly got out there then. So shout out to everybody who was able to grab up copies. There's still some sitting at LCSs out there who are unsuspecting. Make sure you guys are raiding those back issue or those new comic release shelves. Look for those sleepy stores that get forgot about on release day. And this one did well, again, because there was another book that we're going to talk about later that came out this week that was all anybody wanted to talk about, all anybody wanted to pay attention to. And when that happens, sometimes another book can kind of sneak in the back door. So shout out to IDW, who 2 weeks in a row has a book killing it on the secondary market.
Right. You know how many, even after the link, you know how many issues I bought?
None, I bet.
I bought none. Because this is just one. I always say, buy what I like. I like turtles, but I don't like, and I'll probably miss out. Who knows what this book will do. But this is one of those books that I saw everyone going after, and I didn't get the spoiler, the Peter tingle. But
see, and see, for me, this is my wheelhouse. So I was full tingle. Yeah. I was full tingle last night on this one, or all day yesterday.
So yeah, I mean, kudos, and like I said, he got the link. We put it on Patreon for people to buy it right from IDW. People were buying it, and I noticed it sold out. I had one in my cart, and then I was like, it's just not. I didn't have that feeling for it, so I might miss out, but I have no regrets. But kudos to people that are buying it, making money on it, and I hope the book does well for them. But I sat this one out. But with that being said, that does wrap up the first appearance section for us this week. Kind of long in the tooth on the first appearances this week, but we did have a good conversation. And if you're just now joining us and you missed the announcement at the beginning of the show, if you head over to comicbookinvest.com, right now we have for pre-order our Vault Vintage exclusive variant for Sarah and the Royal Stars. And what was the print run on this again? It was $250
with 220 available to the community.
Right. So that's right now. Also, the link is in the description to this video if you guys want to check that out. That'll take you to get pre-order the Sarah and the Royal Stars. This comes out on the 17th, I believe.
Yes, the 17th. Again, we'll ship them about the 22nd. And then that's just so we can process them, make sure you guys get the best copies, get them in those Mylar bags, get those exclusive stickers on them. You know, we want to do this right. And, you know, anybody who's ordered from us, they know. Shout out to Ben C., the owner of CBSI, does a heck of a job with the shipping, works his butt off when we release these variants. The guy's a control freak, so he's got to handle it himself, and he does it with absolute precision and perfection. So shout out to Ben C., he's the man.
Yes, definitely. So we are going to go into the Reader Buzz section of this week. And not last week we had a overflow of Reader Buzz. This week it's kind of back down to our normal amount. But kicking it off was one of the books that I was really excited and looking forward to coming out. And that is Jason Aaron's creator-owned Sea of Stars #1, right?
Right. So like I said earlier, this was my penciled in long-term play of the week. I start looking at those way before I form the Bolo list because, again, the Bolo list, I'm not the creator of it. We use the term guardian because it's derived of what you guys are talking about. The long-term play is the one play where I'm putting my name on that. And I'm saying, hey, guys, if you follow me, if you at all believe in my speculation strategies, this is the book that I say roll with. So I want you guys to know, like, I'm not less confident in this book. I got the Ash Can at Heroes Con. I was able to read it. I was able to check it out. I also had a digital copy. Rico Renzi, who does the coloring on this, great guy I'm pleased to call a friend, who's always looked out for me and my family. Anything he's involved with, I want to be involved with. And, Brian and I have talked about Jason Aaron. Jason Aaron is just as good as they get. I'm excited to see where this book goes. And guys, I think this is a book that would have been sold out in a $10 book if it wasn't for the fact, again, that we had some other releases this week. People can only spend their money so many places. And I was in an LCS this week, and trust me, I'm going to talk about that later. And, people were looking for The Walking Dead. There was starting to become some turtle buzz, but people didn't have turtles. And this book was a book that people were like, yeah, I'm going to grab it because I want to read it. But I think speculators were kind of second guessing. And I definitely think this is a buy and hold because it's a great read, a great book. I like the art, and the creative team is just stellar. So this easily could have been the long-term play of the week and is still a great long-term play. This one and the next book we're going to talk about were the two that I really was hemming and hawing which one to roll with.
Right. And Mike Mignola did the B cover for this, right?
Right, and that's another guy with a big fan base.
Right. So one thing I want to bring up, which I see a lot of trend of, looking at it, fan of Mike Mignola, I like that B cover, but I've seen a lot of trends, especially with these Image, IDW, independent comics. Whatever picks up on the secondary market is usually the cover A.
Yes, I've noticed that too. You can look at Die as a perfect example.
7 to Eternity was the same way.
Right. God Country.
Yes. So.
And here's my theory on that. It's mainstream media news.
Right.
When mainstream media puts out an article, they tend to only show cover A. So because of that, I think the FOMO people, that's what they see, so that's what they go by. And I think that we as speculators need to learn better. I loaded up on Die, and I'm making great money, and I'm holding back more. But I kind of evenly distributed my A and B purchases, thinking like sets would be the way to go. I don't think so. I think the book that I will grab heavy is that cover A, for the exact reasons Brian said. And I like the Mignola. I think it's cool. I'm a Mignola fan, so I think it's like cool from a personal perspective. But we certainly know Mignola fans are out there. If you guys watch the Hot 10 show, Comic Tom talks about Mignola every chance he gets. So we know that those people are out there. At the same point, I think Brian hit the nail on the head from a speculation purposes. At this point, I think with Image, we need to look at those cover A's.
Right. And then next on the Reader Buzz was another Image book. Another Mark Miller, however you want to say his name. He said both pronunciations are right, depending on where you're from, but Space Bandits, so rest assured this is most likely going to end up on Netflix, right? Because he has that deal with Netflix for his titles.
Right. Well, yeah, and this is the thing. It's not just most likely going to end up on Netflix. It's got a big old Netflix logo on the back of
Yeah.
the book.
So yeah.
So right, this is done by Netflix Publishing. Like this is all the new books he's doing. They bought Miller World, so all the new books that he's doing, he actually doesn't own Miller World anymore.
So it also tells
He
you
just-
how many issues of this I bought.
Trust me, when I was going through whether to pick this book or Sea of Stars originally for the long-term play, I basically had to think, well, Brian loves Jason Aaron, so he'll be down with that one.
Yeah.
And he doesn't love Mike Millar, so he won't be down with that one.
I love his stories. It's just I'm not a big spec on him because I've swung and missed on some of his.
But you're stuck in the old way of thinking with him. I totally feel you on everything, Wanted, all of that.
Secret Service.
I totally feel you. Yeah, but we're in a different world, man. This is post Stranger Things, baby, and they just spent a fortune. Hey guys, and thank you for being here because Stranger Things is on Netflix right now, so I really appreciate you guys rocking with us.
I'm going back to watching after.
Oh, as soon as I'm done with, I haven't started yet because I'm one of those guys like I'm gonna get chewed out if I watch it without my significant other. So I've been sitting there all day like, God, I can't wait to watch that. But so yeah,
But with that being said, spec aside, I do read these later, and I do love most of these books he puts out. The stories are great.
Yeah.
It's just I've never been a big spec, even with Netflix coming up. I kind of shy away from it just because it's like Dynamite with Image books where they got 13 covers, and you're like, well, this one definitely the Challengers variant they called it. I think is the one to pick up for this. But
well, I think again the issue with this is the number of covers. I think there's something to that. So if from a speculation perspective, I'm playing the same game we just talked about, cover A. I like some of the variants. The same with Sharky the Bounty Hunter. There were some great variants, but I grabbed cover A. I ended up buying. What I'll do is I'll buy a couple of each, but the book I'll go heavy on is cover A. And you guys know I'm heavily grabbing this Netflix stuff. I've been talking about Netflix stuff ever since Umbrella Academy did what it did, Stranger Things. From a merchandising perspective, that's what you need. You need merchandise and Target to sell. And we don't see other comic books doing this. And I know that Mike Miller properties haven't gotten there yet. But again, follow the money. Netflix spent a fortune to acquire this. They're going to put this stuff out. I think they already went into production already on Magic Order. So, like, we're going to see this stuff soon. This is not like a far-off, distant thing. This is coming. Space Bandits is coming to Netflix. Magic Order is coming to Netflix. They just started production on Jupiter Legacy as well. I think there's going to come a time when we're going to have an entire category on Netflix of Mike Millar properties. And there's no doubt that there'll be misses. But I think a lot of speculators are using the same logic Brian has, and they're getting burnt. They're thinking about that times that they were burnt in the past. Mike Millar isn't in control anymore. He doesn't own the company. So all he has to do is write. That's it. He's just got to write these books. And Netflix is going to handle the rest. And I have just total confidence in Netflix. Everybody has Netflix. So it's accessible to so many people. Because even if you don't have Netflix, you're borrowing somebody's password, let's be honest. So you got access to it.
Right. We'll see. I have faith in you, but
I can't wait till the first one of these come out, and I think we've debated this Mark Miller Netflix deal so much, we're gonna need a special edition one shot just after the first one comes out and talk about the results, because it's truly gonna be a test case to see what happens in the market. Brian could be dead right. I'm going with my gut, and I have no empirical data to go with this other than just saying I fully believe in Netflix. If I'm putting my money into something, it's Netflix. I don't care about Amazon properties. I said that last week. I don't care about Amazon properties. I don't care about Hulu properties. Although I am excited to see that Wu-Tang biopic on Hulu, but that's neither here nor there. I don't care about those properties. For me, it's all Netflix.
Yeah. It'd be one thing if there was like one book of his they're gonna make a Netflix for, but when they're doing all of them for, it's gonna become 30 Days a Night all over again, where you're gonna see a spike, and then it's just gonna be like freaking free comic book day. Here's take it, but who knows? Since I'm not buying into it, it's gonna skyrocket. That's just how my luck runs, but we'll see.
I think some of them will be more popular than others. It's
Right.
going to all depend. Though, again, the one I actually I'm more bullish on these ones that Netflix is producing now than I am on like Jupiter Legacy and some of the old ones.
Yeah.
I like the ones that Netflix had their hands in from the beginning, where he had to pitch this idea to Netflix to even make this comic, and Netflix had to already sign off. This is an idea they'd want to do a show for. So the ones with the Netflix logo on the back, those are the ones I think, again, Netflix, why it's more incentive for them to push these ones than the old ones. So that's what I think Netflix is going to do.
Yeah, and it helps sellers already because they're putting Netflix in the eBay headline. But
You're darn right, baby.
But we're gonna move on into Reader Buzz. The next one on the list we're gonna talk about later, so I'm gonna move right on to Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider number 10.
Yeah. So I'm a big Spider-Gwen fan. We talked about this a lot. Spider-Gwen was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, by Jason Latour, Rico Renzi, and Robbie Rodriguez. But unfortunately, this is the end of Spider-Gwen. Now, that doesn't mean the series is ending. That doesn't mean anything. But she is now officially Ghost Spider. That is the big event that happened in this book. The moniker is now permanent. Jason Latour has told me to let it go and to just accept it, and he's cool with it. But I don't like it. But we'll have to go with it.
I think the Spider-Man No More homage cover, the regular cover.
Yes, me too. Because we talked about it the other week when we had a variant from Marvel Comics Presents that gave a different angle.
Yeah, that was a great cover too.
Right, that's such an iconic moment in comics. So I love the homage back to that. I do see some long-term potential in this book because there is a chance, like 20 years from now, the term Spider-Gwen could sound silly to those people. For me, it's going to be hard to get used to saying Ghost Spider because I've been so invested in Spider-Gwen over the last several years. And guys, I'm going to give you a little kind of tip out there. Be on the lookout for some upcoming Bolo boxes because I put a package together to send Brian for Bolo boxes, and we've got some late printings to Edge of Spider-Verse #2, triple signed by the creators, as well as some with sketches on the cover. So those will be hitting Bolo boxes soon. So that's a little Bolo box plug I'm throwing out there to you guys right now. But this book is one of those ones where, to me, it's sneaky. You grab, kind of like we talked about earlier, you grab a couple copies and you throw them in a long box. I don't expect any sort of short-term spike. But again, I don't want to spoil the Spider-Man movie in any way. But I think it's pretty well known that from the commercials that Mysterio, there's going to be the first talk of a multiverse. And just talking about a multiverse, to me, it sent my spider senses saying, Spider-Gwen, Miles Morales. That's the way I went. And I know that they've got the animated movies, but a lot of people say, we've got the animated movies so they won't bring them into the regular movies. I say, no. They're going to look at the money they made off those animated movies and want to double it up. So I think eventually it's just a matter of time before we'll see Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, on the big screen. And in a way, this is a first appearance. In a way, it's the first appearance of Ghost Spider, even though that moniker has been on the trade dress for a while. It's now her official title. And I think this could be a key down the road.
Right. And it was definitely one that I put in my weekly picks over
Yep.
the new code word also. But that, and like I said, I love that, just the regular cover, the homage. But next, we kind of already talked about Immortal Hulk, so I'm just going to leave that where it is. But this was a book that I was excited. I picked up, I haven't had a chance to read yet. But this is from Dark Horse, and that's No One Left to Fight #1.
Yeah, kind of cool story.
Yeah, it's got like
cool
a Dragon Ball inspiration, they were saying.
Yeah, and it's one that I jumped on late. Actually,
I'm gonna go ahead and admit it. I piggybacked off of you on this one. As far as my personal investment, I saw you put this book in a couple different places, and I was like, man, I'm overlooking this book. This was the last book I added to the Bolo list. Brian put it up, and then I did a little research, hit some hashtags on Instagram, and said, okay, there are people talking about this book. So I threw it on here, ended up reading a preview, and was like, okay, I like this book. So, yeah, and again, guys, Dark Horse has that first look Netflix deal. So that's another important thing. Now, when you look at this book, this would be a tough book to maybe do a feature film, but it could be an animated piece. I don't know. And it could be a film. I'm not the expert on
It'd be one of those super huge budget that tanks.
Right. So I think in the world of the popularity of animated films, Netflix does really well with their anime and stuff like that. I think that this could be something there. And again, Netflix has that first look deal with Dark Horse. Ever since the popularity of Umbrella Academy, they want to get in the Dark Horse business. So they're only looking to expand their comic book offerings. So I'd watch out for that. Keep an eye out for this one. I don't think the print run on this thing is huge. Yeah. And it's another book where there's one cover. So you don't have a million variants to chase. So be on the lookout for this one. I think this is one where maybe you grab a couple copies and you throw it in a box. It's one of those type of buys.
Yeah, and it just strikes me, like you said, anime or even almost like that video game type vibe of, I mean, just the cover without even looking at it. It's got like a Fortnite type look to it.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
So
it's got the bright colors.
Yeah, I went by. I actually picked it up today. I wasn't able to go to the comic book store yesterday, but after the movie, took the kids, went to the comic book store, and I bought this book. I bought like 2 other books. I didn't buy many. It was like 3 or 4 books. Oh, they also had my Honor and Curse from the previous week because I hadn't made it because it's been busy. But more of the story is I bought like 3 books, which is what, like $14, $15. I got to the register, and I walked out of there spending $45 because my kids wanted Funkos and Toy Story mystery box crap. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I made the mistake of walking into an LCS with my significant other and children this weekend. That's always a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, they have this, it's like a $10, it's called like a mystery box. It's called like Boo or something. And it's like stuffed animals dressed as other animals or dogs or something. And it's like $9. Well, my kid bought one. I got my kid one like a couple weeks ago. And of course, he left it out, so the dog chewed it up, and he was all upset. So got him a new one, but holy cow. I'm like,
poor guy.
Yeah, so you need to put that where the dog won't get it. But so that kind of wraps up the Reader Buzz section. Still, we got an awesome turnout in the chat. We got 92 people watching right now. So I want to say thank you for everyone that's participating, especially on this Independence Day, 4th of July. And for those also up north, they just celebrated Canada Day, which Arun was nice enough to point out when we had that interview with him. So happy post-Canada Day to the fellas up north. And we're going to roll right into the Variant Buzz section of the week. So quite a few, and there's one of these that really, really, really annoyed me. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But
I don't even know what it is, so I can't wait to hear which one.
Oh my God, I was so frustrated. But we're going to get to the first one, and that, of course, was second print, or what you want to call the commemorative edition. I have to say it slow because I always mess it up. But when it first was solicited, I called the James Harden variant. But
yes,
we have the commemorative for 192.
So I'm going to talk more in detail later on about Walking Dead. But obviously, with the series going where it is, this is the issue where Rick dies, or well, he kind of dies in 91, but it's the issue where it's really confirmed. First appearance of zombie Rick, I guess. I think that because The Walking Dead isn't going anywhere on TV, I think these issues are going to be important for a long time. I think because 93 did what it did, this issue's been kind of slept on. And yeah, dealers saw this one coming and they did order this one, but I still didn't see a ton available places.
No, there was only like a 2-week window for it.
Right. So I think this is going to be a good long-term play. I think TFAW still had some for 1 per customer as of yesterday. I don't know if they still do. But I like this book.
I love the cover change. Um, I love the way that it's presented. I think it's classy. I think it's going to make a great graded book. I think it's going to make a great signature series book. I would love to get an Andrew Lincoln signature series of this. I think that would be incredible. Um, so, I think for Walking Dead fans, this one is going to hit home. And so many people are Walking Dead fans who aren't comic fans. So many of like my girlfriends' girlfriends are Walking Dead fans. That's the only when I talk my love for comics, that's kind of the only thing that like resonates with kind of everybody, that the fan base is so huge. So I really like this book. I think it got overshadowed this week, but it's another book is the reason why I say there's so many good books this week. I really, really dig this one. And it's one to keep an eye out for.
And Gotham City Comics retailer in the chat, he just said that they're still available to order on Diamond. So that's good information to have as well.
Absolutely. So hit your local LCS up. This is a good one to talk to your LCS and say, hey, I'd like to order 10 copies, or I'd like to order 20 copies. What can you do for me? And they might be able to get that order in real quick.
Yes. And moving on into the Variant Buzz, the next one this was another, I won't say big release, but I think it got overshadowed from the week's releases that came out, the news that came out late, and that's Arrow #1. And what we have here is the regular price art germ, the 1 in 25, and the 1 in 50 on the screen.
Yeah, so this was a book I expected to be like the book this week. I kind of thought would be the flip book. And right now, the ratio variant, the 125 is under ratio. It's going for like half. The 150 is doing solid at ratio. I think we talk about this sometimes, that when there's a 150, it kind of kills the 125. It's a combination of, there's some store variants. It's not a first appearance, so people are a little slower to jump on board. The artwork looks amazing. But that there are copies in the market. But it's something to keep an eye on, because people seem to just be dumping them for whatever they're going for on the market right now. And I did grab a couple I grabbed one of each of the incentives. I'm not willing to sell mine at what the current market is, so I will hold them. I think these are more long-term plays. And I think the Art Germ variant's a sleeper because it's a gorgeous cover. And it's one that I don't think you'll see like heavily everywhere. And I think it's got a good chance to have some long-term staying power. It all kind of depends on where they go with Arrow. I think that these new characters from Agents of Atlas, Marvel has plans for. And we talk about, again, I'm going to mention it for what has to be the 5th time in this show, follow the money. Marvel's putting money into these, so I think that we should too. And there's a lot of factors that go into books not popping the way we expect. And Brian hit the nail on the head when he said there's just some other books that are driving people's attention. Everyone's jumping on that Walking Dead train, and then everybody jumped off that Walking Dead train and all up into the Turtle train. And there's just only so many places you can go. So we saw Sea of Stars, Space Bandits, and I think this book get more or less kind of not the attention that they deserve, but that doesn't mean in the coming weeks that they won't.
Right. Yeah. Everyone got all up in them turtle guts. But next, and this is the issue that really annoyed the crap out of me. And we're talking about the Harley Quinn #63. Because the one on the right was the solicit. That's what I pre-ordered books for, which I actually thought, I didn't think it was Cho at first. When I first saw it, I actually thought it was Tedesco, just because it has that similar type art style. Mm-hmm. But Cho or not, I still love Cho. He does a fantastic job on Harley variants. So I ordered, I think, three or 5 copies of that. And then like the night before, the picture on the left is what is they chose to be as the cover art for it. And it just annoyed the crap out of me because I don't like it. It looks like part Harley Quinn, part freaking Gremlin. I don't know. No offense to
her head looks like it's kind of floating there.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Kudos to Cho because he does great art, but I just wasn't a fan of this cover, and I was annoyed that I liked the original, and then they replaced it, and it just kind of ticked me off. Grinds my gears, but
yeah, and I'd like to know why they replaced it, because it does suck when the solicit is one thing and you go another direction. Todd McFarlane, of course, we're looking at you and Spawn. Yeah. At this point, we all hold our butts when we pre-order Spawn because we have no idea what's actually going to come out. And the amount of Spawn #3 I am currently sitting on
because Todd swore we were after issue 283 we were getting that Misery series is almost embarrassing. But yeah, so this I hate the bait and switch from Solicit. So Brian, I feel you on that one. I do think that these Year of the Villain portrait variants will do well. They've been well received. They've been well talked about. This book was everywhere on social media. But again, DC cover Bs are kind of cold right now in the market. If you guys know, Brian and I are big advocates of cover Bs because we think they have good long-term potential. As these issues pop, for any reason, I think that people are going to go back for cover B over A because of the like near virgin and all of that. I know people have talked about Naomi as an example of the opposite happening, but I think that's because of the first appearance and again the mainstream media buzz. When mainstream media put out the story, they put out cover A. And I think cover B lets you hedge your bet because you also have the art collectors. There's so many pockets of collectors. There's the guys who read the books. I shouldn't say guys because we have so many female fans coming into the game at this point. Again, shout out to Sarah Hymo, who's been a super valued member of, and I probably butchered her last name. I apologize, but has been a super valued member of the Simpleman's Comics family, and definitely setting a great pace. And so I don't want to. I gotta stop saying guys, but yes, you see so many pockets of collectors, whether it's readers, whether it's the key collectors that we're seeing, or whether it's these cover art collectors. And books like this allow you to play in multiple fields. So we're going to go into like 3 different DC cover Bs for the next couple covers. And they release great art some weeks that are getting overlooked. This week, because of the lack of like variants on the market, it seemed like DC cover Bs were heavily talked about.
Right. People are agreeing with me in the chat about the original Solicit should have been the cover. But
I like it.
Yeah. And then Sarah, Jack, sorry for saying guys. Connie, Jack, sorry for saying guys. Arun just told us to know our pronouns, man.
Yeah, he did.
Speaking of which,
didn't he?
If you guys haven't checked out Arun, VP of Marketing from Boom Studios, we did an interview a while back, but he just came back recently with another interview with a bunch of more great information. We even cut it up into smaller videos, but definitely check out any of them. I mean, I would say check out the whole thing, but at least check out the one with the networking tips, especially for those that go to Comic-Con and want to network within the comic book industry with writers, artists, and so forth. He put out a bunch of great tips for that, so that is on this channel under the Indie Spotlight series playlist.
We get a lot of people hitting us up like, how can I get involved in doing this or doing that, and and I think that gives an excellent. Arun gives just all the information you could ever want, and also he encourages you in that video. Reach out to him if you have further questions. If there's further things you want to know, he's accessible. You guys, that's rare for a person at his level to put that out. And I'm also going to take this time to say, all aspiring artists out there, Mad Cave Studios, who we've partnered with before, is doing a talent search right now. Head to their website, check it out. They are out there looking for next up and coming artists. I know a lot of you guys are talented artists. I already talked with our man Brett Hess, who's a regular member of Simpleman's Comics family. I went and sent him that link. But yeah, any of you guys out there who, there I go again with guys, but any of you out there in the comic family who are talented artists, obviously females are starting to run the place with the cover art. But any of you out there who are aspiring artists, they have a talent search going on right now. They're looking for people, and they're a growing company. So it's a great way to get your foot in the door in the industry, without a doubt.
Right. But moving on to the variant buzz, we were talking about, we got some cover Bs coming up, and this is Deceased number 3, the Francesco Mattina variant. I've been picking up all the Mattina cover Bs. Of course, we always mention how much we like the cover C, the Putri doing the horror movie homages. But
I'm a fan of the Putris.
Yeah, so I've been picking up both actually, especially the Mattinas, just because from a personal collector, I like the set of having all those with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Mattina's been doing great with those. But what do you got to tell us about this book?
Yeah, so this one I heavily pre-ordered this series, like you were talking about. I had a lot of faith in Deceased. It hasn't really performed. So at this point, my speculation strategy is what you just said: sets. Putting sets together of the variants of the Putri variants, sets together of the Matina variants. I will say I think this is the best one. This is the one that I had when the solicits came out the most kind of faith in. I think this will make a great signature series book if you can catch Matina at a convention, which is a lot tougher now. After his kind of scandal, he pulled himself back a good bit. He did get let go from his management company when that whole thing happened, so I don't know how accessible he is now, and which is another thing to note. Could be bring up the values of his signature, but I like this one. But it's funny because as much as I say that this set has kind of underperformed, DC has a double down and they're soliciting more Deceased spin-offs. They were happy with the sales that they got at retailer level. Retailers have been buying them. It seems like collectors like them. The only place it's not popping is the secondary market, but that could just be a matter of time. Also, Marvel zombies are coming back, so we could be heading into a time period where zombies are getting their run again, and I have to believe the Marvel zombie thing is a reaction to Deceased. I really do have to believe that. Yeah. These two companies pay attention to each other heavily, so everything seems to be counterpoint with those two companies. So I definitely think that that's the case, and I couldn't. It's been everywhere on social media. I have to mention that CNN article where they botched saying that Marvel canceled Walking Dead. That is absolutely terrible. And I will say, CNN, if you guys are ever writing a comic book article and you want to get things right, I know some writers at comicbookinvest.com who would love to step in and freelance that for you. So get at us because that was terrible.
Right. So with that being said, the last one on the variant buzz this week is the Lois Lane #1. This is the Jenny Freeson variant. Very similar to that Jennifer Connelly type look, especially the one she did for the Wonder Woman variant. But I still like this. I like how the cover kind of looks older, right? Period piece, kind of worn out.
Right.
But definitely enjoyed this, so I definitely picked this up this week.
This one was my favorite of the DC cover Bs. The other interesting thing to note about this is the Event Leviathan kind of play with this. The fact that Lois Lane, this is part of the villain series. So that strikes people as odd, like how is that going to happen? But if you've been reading Event Leviathan and where that looks like it's going, that'll make more sense to you. Lois Lane has never been a seller on the secondary market for sure. But I think that they could make her more interesting with this current storyline. So I'm cautiously bullish, I'll say. And if you're going to get into buying a Lois Lane book, this prison variant's gorgeous.
I'm getting hashtagged my catchphrases. With that being said, I don't know how many times I've said fantastic tonight. Or other than that, I know I say a lot, but yeah, we're hashtagging with that being said. Let's get it going.
With that being said, is definitely the trademark Brian phrase.
And
that is his favorite segue move.
Yes. Moving right along, set foot and fancy free, we're going to move into the long-term play with that being said. So we have one long-term play. Last time we had a double long-term play, but this week we have just the one. And everyone could probably imagine what it is because it's the one book we haven't really talked about so far that was fire this week. And that is Walking Dead 193. And Jack's got an awesome story to talk about on his mission for this issue, correct?
Correct. I'm putting the phone down. I got to get fully focused here. So I talk to you guys, as you know, I interact with you guys on the Comic Book Invest CBSI Instagram. I interact with you guys on the Comic Book Invest Facebook group. I interact with you guys here through Simpleman's Comics. And one thing that we talk about on a regular basis is retailer practices. And my heart goes out to you guys when you guys get really kind of shafted by a retailer, where when a book gets hot and different games are played at retail level. I always feel for you guys, and I always advocate to you guys, books that are intended to be cover price, should be cover price, especially on release day and honestly even the week of release. And everybody blames the crash in the comic book market on this or that, but you can go back to Death of Superman, and every retailer that was marking that book up on release date and trying to take advantage of these speculators are equally as to blame. So I had an experience this week that is not dissimilar to anything that you guys have gone through. My position in CBSI or my position on this channel doesn't provide me with any sort of special privilege. When I walk into an LCS, yes, at times I am recognized. Yes, at times people may know me, but I still run into the same things you guys. In full transparency, because this is our Simpleman's Comics fan, I'm going to talk about it. So this week, like most people, I did not heavily pre-order Walking Dead number 193. Matter of fact, I only ordered a couple copies. So I knew my copies wouldn't be coming in for a while, so I wanted to go ahead and get at least a copy to read. Also, Topher, I believe it was Topher, I could be wrong, but I believe it was Topher in the chat, had mentioned that it was a good father-son story to read. Obviously, I'm going through the situation with my father, and I really wanted to check it out. Also, yesterday, on release date, was my birthday. So what I wanted to do for my birthday was go pick up Walking Dead 193 and read it. That was my thing I wanted to do for myself. So usually I would go into Charlotte, which is about 40 minutes away. Well, Charlotte's closer. It's like 20. But to get to the store in Charlotte, Heroes Aren't Hard to Find, who are the promoters of Heroes Con. Shout out to Sheldon Drum. It's about 40 minutes. And yesterday I had to meet with a funeral director. I had an appointment to meet with a funeral director. So it was going to be very difficult to make it out there. And I went to a closer store called Nickel Spot Comics in Fort Mill, South Carolina. And that is the town right next to me. It's actually the town I went to high school. It's a town I grew up in South Carolina. And while it is closer, it is not the store I typically shop at for reasons like I'm going to get into. So I walked into the store and I walked up to the new release wall. Now, again, it's only like an hour and 45 minutes after the store opened. And this is not a heavily trafficked store. It's so unheavily trafficked that they're actually closing the store and turning it into an office where they're going to just sell online. Now, I will say that the owner of Nickel Spot is a gentleman by the name of Nick. I've known him through the convention scene for some time. I don't know if he knows me. He's a nice guy. I know a lot of people within the industry know him or may be familiar with him at shows. But like a lot of guys who travel the convention circuit, he's rarely in his own store. And some of the retail practices of that store have bothered me in the past. Things like, non-ratio variants not being available on release day. But then I go to a show that weekend and they've got them at their booth for $10 and $12. That bothers me as a customer. If I'm in your store on release date, I should have access to that. So to get back to Walking Dead, and I've already got that thought in my head about those prior experiences, I walk up to the new release wall, and I don't see Walking Dead anywhere. Now, they've got everything. They've got Sea of Stars, and they've got all these great releases, but they don't have Walking Dead anywhere. So I walk up to the counter, and I ask a young guy whose name is Tyler, who I hadn't seen in there before. Maybe he's there all the time. I really don't know. And I ask him, do you have Walking Dead 193? And his response to me floored me. Now, usually I'm the type of guy who I don't say anything back. It's not the type of thing where me saying anything isn't going to make a difference. But what he told me was that they don't have any copies available. Well, wait, we do, but they're $15 on our eBay. Now, again, mind you guys, this is an hour and 45 minutes after this store opened. They've only had this book for that long. And they're telling me that they sold all of their copies off the wall that are available, and the book is available for $15 on eBay. Now, we're CBSI. We sell books, right? When you sell a book on eBay for $15, and you subtract shipping, and you subtract your fees, how much more money were they really making by doing that? But you know what they did? They lost a customer in me forever. Because the audacity of you to tell me that, I immediately responded that it's release date. That doesn't seem right. The kid just kind of laughed, like he didn't know what to say. Mind you, I'm in there. I got my CBSI shirt on when I'm in there. I was in there with a CBSI shirt on, and I have this platform to talk about it. And this is not vindictive to that store. Again, that store is closing. They're moving to an online only thing. He tried to mention to me like, well, our subscribers we took care of. Yeah, but how do you ever expect to get new subscribers or new customers if when someone walks into your store on release date excited to get a book to read, they don't have access to it, but then you try to pump me for $15 on a sale? I'd rather have had him lie to me and tell me the book just sold out than to tell me it's available on his eBay for $15, which, by the way, I would have found out on my own anyway because they sell under their own name. And again, it's an hour and 45 minutes. A bad excuse is, well, we order a certain amount for the store and we order a certain amount for our eBay. That's a bad excuse, because then you got to ask yourself, what are you? What did Image Comics, what would Image Comics say to that story? How would Robert Kirkman feel about that story? This is a triple issue. This is 72 pages. He could have charged $10 for this issue himself. But he charged $3.99 because he wanted this in the hand of readers, people who are invested in The Walking Dead. Guys, I wasn't trying to get 10 copies. There I go with guys again. I wasn't trying to get 10 copies. I wasn't trying to get this from a speculator perspective. I just wanted to read this book. It was my birthday. My dad passed the day before. A friend of mine told me that this would be a good story for me to read on that day, and I wanted to read it. And now he didn't know all of that other stuff going on in my life or anything else, but to walk into a store and have that kind of experience, it's no wonder they're closing their retail store. It's no wonder that they don't see that as a profitable endeavor for them. Because, guys, you guys know me. I talk about, how many books do you think I buy on a monthly basis? Do you know what my comic book bill is for a month? I walked into their store. Do you know they had every previous week's release on sale for $1? And I'm doing a big convention in a month, so I'm preparing my convention booth. They have no idea the amount of money I could have spent going through all of that clearance product. But once you do that, you're not getting my money. I'm not spending $1 with you. Because again, for $3 or $4 more that you tried to hit me for, you just lost a couple $100, and you lost a customer that could have represented thousands of dollars in a year's time. Also, I have this platform, and now I'm talking about you. So retailers, any retailers watching us, I know we got some good ones in the chat. I know I work on a regular basis with Russ Bright from Mill Geek Comics, who does the Hot 10 show, who always talks about the value of trying to establish a long-term customer. This is a guy that when Naomi was hitting for $50, was honoring his customers with cover price copies. And you may say, well, oh, you missed out on $40. $40 is nothing compared to what a loyal customer will provide you in a year. So I want you guys to know, I've been through it. I went through it. I still don't have a copy of Walking Dead 193. And it was really a bummer of a situation to kind of go through. And I just think that you retailers out there, if any retailers who are watching us, we have a lot of retailers who follow us, a lot of retailers who interact with us. Don't do things like that, guys. Don't look for cash outs. On release date, your books should be release price. That is your agreement with, that is your agreement with your customer. There is plenty of time, a week later. Give it to the weekend at least. But to hit it an hour and 45 minutes after release date, that's garbage. You know good and well, you saw what the market was doing, and you made a conscious decision to try to get as much money out of that book as possible. And that is just bad business. And what you guys don't know and what they don't know is my background. I went to the University of South Carolina, the degree in retail management. I have managed some large sneaker retailers. And there's no way that I would ever advocate anybody that I manage, any company that I've worked for, to be so short-sighted financially, because they really blew it. They really blew it. I won't step foot into that store, and I advocate you guys, don't keep shopping at stores that do that to you. Look for other stores. The loudest, you may not have a microphone like I do right here to go jump on the mic, and I know I'm ranting and wasting everyone's time, but I felt like this is something we needed to talk about because a lot of people complain about this to me, and I want you guys to know how I handled it. I didn't get mad in the store or throw a fit. I did tell them that I thought that was, shady on release day, but the biggest way I can speak to it is not even on the mic right now. It's with my wallet. It's by putting my wallet away. It's by not even shopping with their convention booth at conventions. Not because I'm vindictive, but because people need to be held accountable. And there's plenty of places to buy comics, guys. There's plenty of people out there. One person, Bat Comic Shop, who we've talked about before, they've sold books on release date for $3.99 that we're selling for $15 on eBay all the time. There's plenty of places out there where you guys can get hooked up, where you can be taken care of, that you don't need to put up with this in order to shop at LCS. And now my hometown is about to have no comic shop. And all that makes me think is we need to start a Simpleman's Comics comic shop because it's ridiculous. Somebody's got to serve these customers. That's where my head's at with that, because I can't believe that somebody could be that short-sighted. But that is my rant. Again, that shout out to Heroes Aren't Hard to Find in Charlotte, North Carolina. Somebody who does it right, which is why I make that extra drive to Charlotte. I'm sorry I couldn't make it there yesterday. But now we can talk about Walking Dead 193, now that I got that off my chest. I was venting in the group chat about that one.
What you meant to say is, other than that, let's talk about the long-term one.
Yeah. Other than that, with that said, yeah. But so the long-term play, Walking Dead 193, I did go ahead and spoil myself and go through the spoilers on the internet because I got to be able to talk about it here on the mic. It's important. And obviously, this is the last issue of Walking Dead. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, get this and flip this real quick because, you're available to make money right now. Obviously, this is selling $15, $20. It is a quick flip. But again, guys, look at how much money you're making. You're not making a lot of money. I don't know if how long that's going to hold. Yes, the print run is probably large. But I look at this as a long-term play. We've said, Robert Kirkman has said AMC is going to make The Walking Dead forever. It's their flagship entity. They've got spin-offs coming. They've got movies coming. And I think that this series is always going to be important. I'm really bullish on issues 191 through 193. I think that while the first appearances may come and go in popularity, issue 1 and then the finale of this story are always going to be important. I think from what I read, they wrapped up the series pretty beautifully. I'm sure there's detractors to it. But, if you've ever watched a series finale of a TV show, it's kind of hard to do it and make everyone happy. There's always going to be somebody who's going to complain or who's going to feel like they didn't get what they wanted out of it.
It ended like Little Zombie House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
I mean, not really. I enjoyed the ending, but I always wanted that what caused it type thing. But
right, we didn't get all of that answer. But I know Robert Kirkman says he's done with it. But I just want to point out the beauty of a time jump is we could always go back to the time in between. And because we still don't know what caused it, it still leaves a prequel possibility open. I'm not so sure we'll never see Walking Dead again. I think that you never say never. I totally get him being burnt out. He's done this thing forever. His
2003?
His life has been Walking Dead. So that's when I graduated high school, to put that into perspective. I turned 34 yesterday. So, that's how long he's been writing this book. So I totally get him being burnt out. He has the right to step away. He has the right to say, no mas, I'm done. But at the same point, feelings can change over time. So, you may give him a couple of years and he may feel like, I want to revisit this, or some story may pop into his head, or he may be working on a TV show and he might get inspired, or the movie. Anything's possible. But I think that
if you look at like the long term history of classic series like one that comes to mind is Preacher. That last issue tends to hold weight. It tends to be one that people want and always find important. And then also because people didn't see this coming, it slipped past people. So I think that the long term value of this is there because we've just got so much. Walking Dead isn't over. There's so much more Walking Dead to happen. It may just not happen in the pages of a comic book from Image Comics, but Walking Dead is not going to be gone from TV. It's not going to be gone from merchandising. You're going to see Walking Dead everywhere in the stores, and I think that because of that, people are going to always want to come back to it. And it kind of makes me think of like Spawn, where Spawn issues after they've kind of come out over time, they get bought up by collectors and they dry up. I think everybody's going to want to keep a copy of this. And I think that that's going to cause even the large print run of this issue, copies to get pulled off the shelf. Another thing that's interesting is it's a square bound book. So as far as like graded copies, 9.8 might not be enough. This might be more of a game of 9.9s and 10.0s, similar to Batman Damned.
One guy's on eBay guaranteeing a 9.9.
Yeah, and shout out to our sponsor, Nick Dwortman, who's a hell of a presser. And even he says that guy is bold to take that shot. Because Nick said he feels good about getting some 9.9s. He feels like it's going to happen. But that guarantee game is dangerous. So shout out to Nick who does it right, who I know also will randomly send customers who pre-ordered a 9.8 a 9.9. That has happened before. So I know some customers who have posted on social media of that happening. So I think Nick does it right. He has the right idea with it. But yeah, I think that this book is a book that is going to be a great signature series book. I think it will make a great book signed by Robert Kirkman, graded. I think it's a book that it's going to be important forever. We get a lot of books that come out. We talk about them on the Bolo list. They're hot for a while. And then it's not important anymore. This book is always going to be important because it ends the Walking Dead story. Also, it could pop again later if the show ends up copying some of the same tropes. I say some because obviously Carl's dead on the show. So I don't want to spoil the issue, but, Carl's sort of essential to the whole process. But things like...
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think you could see that play out with Judith. Judith could be that Carl character. The statue, some of those things could come into play in the future for Walking Dead, and it could repop this issue. Also, it's important to note they solicited a second print that I think they're going right to print quick with. So I think it's going to be like the 192 second print, where I'm interested to see what the cover art is going to be. I have my own suspicions, but again, I don't want to spoil anything. There's two images to me that are very powerful from what I've seen that I think would be great cover art. And but that's one to keep an eye out for. If you're like me and you missed out or you got hosed by some Tyler out there, this is the book to go ahead and pre-order that second print. Grab that second print. And again, I know what the detractors are, but same way we talk about Netflix, you can't underestimate the size of the Walking Dead fan base, the amount of Walking Dead merchandise that gets sold, and the fact that mainstream media is picking up on this being the final issue of The Walking Dead, even if they're completely getting the story wrong by saying Marvel canceled it or whatever. Again, holler at me. I got writers who can write that for you.
So that's going to wrap up the long-term play, and it wraps up the Bolo list for this week. Again, like we announced at the beginning of the show, pre-order. I want to stress that it's pre-order right now. The book doesn't come out till the 17th. But we also want to say that there are some limited spots available for our Patreon CBSI, well, not CBSI, Bolo mystery box. There's 2 spots left for the premium. I think there's 5 spots left for the regular. That's basically a monthly box of comics that we send to your house or whatever address you give us. And you're also helping to support this YouTube channel, this show, and everything else that's on this channel. But Jack, anything else you want to say before we go?
I just want to reiterate again, thank you guys, everybody who's reached out, every member of Simpleman's Comics family. I am totally touched. I've tried to respond to everybody, even if it was just an emoji. But I'm blown away. It's been a hard week. And again, this is the highlight of my week. I get excited. When I talked to Brian, he basically wouldn't let me do the hot and cold show this week. And but he knew that this was my baby and that I want to be here with you guys. I appreciate everybody in the chat, man. We had a great chat going on. And the last thing I'll say is I debated whether or not to talk about my story from the LCS on the show. Let us know what you guys thought. That's a 100% true story. But I would like to know what you guys thought about those kinds of stories and if we should bring in those more into the show and into the channel. Because we certainly see things out there just like you guys do. We go through those experiences just like you do. And Brian and I are not in any sort of position of power that alleviates us from dealing with dirty dealers and shady LCSs. So we'd love to talk about it if you guys want to talk about it.
Right. So, with that being said, I do want to give a shout out also. A lot of people might not know, but we have the hot and cold list and another member on there. We have the Indie Spotlight series. Not much information has been put out there. Kind of some of the Patreon members know, but it was weird. We filmed our interview with the Rune Singh from Boom one night, and then we knew of Jack's situation and everyone felt for him. But the very next day, Andy Tomlin, who writes the Indie Spotlight series, who's on the Hot and Cold, who does the videos with us, that very next day we got DMs from his girlfriend that Andy's father also passed that night unexpectedly. So it's just been weird and heartfelt. So it's just been kind of crazy, and everyone's going through it. And first thing I did was call my dad because it was just a weird situation. But so that's kind of another reason why we didn't have a hot cold this week. We have two of our people going through loss of family members, and it's one of those hard things to deal with. But
yeah, I absolutely, I know what I'm going through. I know how hard it is, and I can't tell you how much my heart sank when I read that DM from his girlfriend Lauren. Shout out to Lauren, by the way.
Yeah.
If you guys ever deal with Bat Comic Shop or the Indie Spotlight series, Lauren is so integral into that. She is an absolute unsung hero of the comic community, and she really is like the power behind Andy. So, shout out to her. And when I got that message from her, man, I didn't take it well. It's been hard. I love Andy. I love Brian. These guys are my brothers. And, we've all been feeling that for him. And I know it's been tough for him. I came out on the mic and I spoke my piece. I think his being a little more unexpected, that was beyond something he felt he could do. But I just want to tell him from us and from everybody, like, we love you, dude. Take your time, do what you got to do, bro, and we're here for you. And he's still been here for me through everything, sent me messages. So I can't say enough about Andy, and and our heart goes out to him through all of this.
So again, huge turnout tonight. It was more than, I can't say enough good things about you guys, because to be honest, I figured 4th of July, the turnout might not be, we'll roll with it.
Yeah, we were expecting a light week.
Yeah, I think we had one of the best turnouts we've had, and huge kudos. That's to everyone in the Simpleman's Comics community. So kudos to you guys, and we will have the Hot and Cold premiere again this coming Wednesday, and of course we'll be live with the Bolo Show every Thursday night. But make sure you head over to comicbookinvest.com and pre-order that Sarah and the Royal Stars Wonder Woman homage. Again, part of the sale goes to St. Jude's, so that will always be a staple in the variants.
Yep.
But we will see you guys Wednesday night during the premiere, 9 p.m. Eastern. And again, happy 4th of July, happy post-Canada Day, and we'll see you guys next week.